you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I rise today to offer an amendment which addresses another misguided and restrictive federal regulation. Section 526 of the Energy Independence and Security Act prevents federal agencies from entering into contracts for the procurement of a fuel unless its life cycle greenhouse gas emissions are less than or equal to emissions from an equivalent conventional fuel produced from conventional petroleum sources. In summary, my amendment would stop the government from enforcing this ban on all federal agencies funded by the Department of Homeland Security Appropriations bill. The initial purpose of Section 526 was to stop the Defense Department's plans to buy and develop coal-based or coal-to-liquids jet fuel. This restriction was based on the opinion of some environmentalists that coal-based jet fuel might produce more greenhouse gas emissions than jet fuel from traditional petroleum. We must ensure that our military has adequate fuel resources and that it can rely on domestic and more stable sources of fuel. Unfortunately, Section 526 ban on fuel choice now affects all federal agencies, not just the Defense Department. This is why I'm offering this amendment again today to the Homeland Security Appropriations bill. Federal agencies should not be burdened with wasting their time studying fuel restrictions when there is a simple fix, and that's to not restrict our fuel choices based on extreme environmental views, policies, and misguided regulations like those in Section 526. With increasing competition for energy and fuel resources, and with the continued volatility and instability in the Middle East, it is now more important than ever for our country to become more energy independent and to further develop all of our domestic energy resources, including alternative fuels. Placing limits on federal agencies' fuel choices is an unacceptable precedent to set in regard to America's policy independence and our national security. Mr. Chair, Section 526 makes our nation more dependent on Middle Eastern oil. Stopping the impact of Section 526 will help us to promote American energy, improve the American economy, and create American jobs. Now, in some circles, there is a misconception that my amendment will somehow prevent the federal government and our military from being able to produce and use alternative fuels. Now, Mr. Chairman, this viewpoint is categorically false. All my amendment does is to allow the federal government purchasers of these fuels to acquire the fuels that best and most efficiently meet their needs. I offered a similar amendment to the CJS Appropriations bill, and it passed with bipartisan support. My similar amendments to the Milcon VA and the Energy and Water Appropriations bills also passed by voice votes. My friend Mr. Conaway also had language added to the Defense Authorization bill to exempt the Defense Department from this burdensome regulation. Let's remember the following facts about Section 526. It increases our reliance on Middle Eastern oil. It hurts our military readiness, our national security, and our energy security. It also prevents the potential increased use of some sources of safe, clean, and efficient American oil and gas. It also increases the cost of American food and energy. It hurts American jobs and the American economy. Last, and certainly not least, it costs our taxpayers more of their hard-earned dollars. I urge my colleagues to support the passage of this common sense amendment, and at this point, I yield the balance of my time to Mr. Adderholt.
Gentleman's